Hey everybody, this is Brian and welcome to my channel. My hair, as you can see, is getting longer with every episode. But today we're gonna talk about one of the coolest knives, in my opinion, that I have, the Crooked River from Benchmade. A typical Crooked River is about $230, and it's a wooden handle, or rather, the wooden covering the scales, the wooden scales on the handle. But again, you can customize this, so I customized mine. Mine has the M4 steel here, and I did have it engraved with my little life code that I have developed over the years. It's one of those Ron Swanson things where it's like the man who kills me will know what it means. I put the carbon fiber scale because I just love carbon fiber with sateen bolster, black axes, black clip. I was expecting the red to be a little brighter, I will admit that, but hey, still, the spacer is red. Everything. So I personally like this a lot. It's like a cool techie cyberpunk version of the Crooked River. Now, the thing about this knife though is it has an ongoing theme for me. I don't know about you guys, but for me, as far as a knife guy goes, it's one of those things. It's a very, very good knife. It's darn good, but not great. Like it seems to be the overall arching theme of this knife. It's like, it's great, but not that great. Let me give you an example. It's awesome that it is it's a take on a traditional knife. In fact, the original stock versions come with a wooden handle, wooden hand. Well, I suppose you could say that, but it's a wooden scale. I mean, the original version comes with that. On one hand, that's awesome because it's traditional, but then again, it's not exactly a traditional knife. It's cool that it's a modern knife, but at the same time, because they're trying to keep it with traditional, it's kind of not. So it's a great traditional design, but not really. It's a great modern design, but not really. But in a way, that works for most people because it's a great hybrid, if you will. But nonetheless, the theme of this knife, the motto of this knife is Jack of all trades, but doesn't excel at one thing. The crazy thing is it's a great slicer. It slices through pretty much anything that I put it through. Maybe it's the M4 steel, but I feel a lot of confidence in here. But the thing is, it's not the best slicer also. Like there's some of the budget knives out there will actually do its job, because right now the way this knife is set up is $315 and is one of the more expensive knives I own. Now for a $315 knife, you don't necessarily need the best slicer, I get that. But it does slice well. It cuts and slices well. But some of the $60 knives that are designed for more like cutting and slicing will do a better job. Like Opinel comes to mind. Even the Ontario Rat 2 comes to mind. It's a tough knife, but it is not the toughest knife out there. It's a Crooked River, so I imagine it to work, well for fishing knives, but not really, especially with the M4 steel that I chose anyways. But they do have 20 CV and other better steel if you want it for water. It's a large knife, but not the largest. It's a portable knife out of the largest, but then still not quite portable. It's just, the list goes on and on. Like, it's like, oh, it's great, but not that great. Oh, it's awesome, but not that awesome. But because of that, it's like it does all things pretty well. You know what I mean? And I think that's the strength of this particular knife and the reason people want a Crooked River. But at the same time, they're hesitant and say, well, I wonder what it's like to have one of these. First things first, it is a fairly large knife. As a matter of fact, the handle, I don't know if you can see from the handle here. I can't. It's like, I think I have an easier time gripping the Gerber Strong Arm, or some of the fixed blades have a smaller handle than this that I have. It obviously has an axis lock, so it's really strong. It's also one of the more loose, flickier knives that Benchmade, I think, makes, because I don't have too many Benchmades that actually flicks like this. I don't know if it's because it's a custom order, but this thing is really well built, I think, and the quality control is great. And I mean, the thumb flick is really smooth, especially for a knife this large. I have cold steels that might be similar length, and I have trouble opening that thing with my small hands and my weird hand radius, thumb radius flick, if you will. Axis lock works pretty well in my opinion. The axis lock is actually really weird on this knife because I keep I have a little little mark here on the pinky. The reason for that is I actually have to hang on to this clip here in order to engage the axis lock. So in order to stabilize the knife in my hand enough to engage the axis lock. That's not necessarily a bad thing per se, because I guess I'm not gonna be a fidget spinner on this, but it might build a little calluses on your pinky there, but that just goes to show how big, gargantuan this knife actually is, but it's still pretty neat to carry. Now, unfortunately, because I'm not more of a pocket carry person, I know that surprises a lot of people. I always carry a sheath with me, or a pouch, if you will, on my belt at all times, and that's where I keep my knives, and that is how I EDC my knives. So, unfortunately, this one doesn't fit my pouch as well as the other. So, ironically, it ends up being I have to carry a bigger pouch in order to accommodate this guy. And I'm guessing if you are wearing one of those pants that just have a pretend pocket where you could only leave little minimalist things in there, definitely not gonna work. But all in all, considering what it is, it's a very, very solid. Is it worth over $300? And it's true. If you want an M4 steel, you could probably get the bailout and some of the other variations of this. The flick does remind me a little bit of the Kryptonian, but not as much. Ooh, I gotta stop doing that. My pinky's like, what's wrong with you? Really, the only real big advantage of this knife when it comes to the cost is that you can customize it and make it your own and still keep the warranty. Most knives, if you customize it, it's done for certain parts. Maybe not the blade, I'm not sure about that, but definitely when it comes to the locking mechanisms and some other parts of the knife, if you start customizing the knife, the warranty is void. But this is customized already, so you can buy it custom, and there you go. And you still retain Benchmade's warranty. You could still take it in for life sharp, which is very good because it's an M4 blade. And I have nightmares about M4 blades. When it comes to usability, yes, it does. It's extremely sharp. Obviously, it's an M4 steel, so it retains its sharpness. You should know that the Crooked River comes with, I think, S30V steel, which is still an excellent steel as far as I'm concerned. So you shouldn't have any problem with it. It does have the traditional hunter groove here, which actually kind of gives it that the traditional look. I personally love this continuous circular curve here that extends into the blade. I think that's pretty slick and ergonomically fitting. One thing I would say is I wish they would add some jimping here, because I understand there's some here on the back on the liner. I personally like the Mini Crooked River, which I'm going to review next. I think that one is the better size for most people. I believe that one is the perfect size, or the ideal size for most people. I don't think there's anything perfect unless it's custom made to you, including the entire knife and size. But even with the made in USA and Life Sharp and the warranty and all that, I would still say it's still a bit on the pricey side. This is definitely something you get to treat yourself. So there you have it. If you want a knife that is amazing, but not that amazing, but awesomely overpriced, I suppose, but then still not in the $500 range of some of the pocket knives out there that are on the higher range. Again, that's the theme of this guy. One, like 90% great. This knife represents like one of those 80-20 rules where it's like 80% great and 20% to achieve the other 20%. It takes too much, so people settle for 80. So it's like one of those. It's great in almost every aspect, just not amazingly excelling in any category, though. There you have it. Please leave a comment on, since this is a customizable model, I would love to see some of your custom models. I think I might be ordering a Mini Crooked River, like customized one soon, and maybe I'll get some inspiration from you guys and see how this stuff looks. Well, how do you use Crooked River? I am very, very curious, because it's not a modernly, I guess, used knives, if you will. I think it's great. The belly's great. I like the piercing power. But I'm curious. Like, what do you guys use it for? What are your opinions on the crooked knife? The crooked knife. Huh. What are your opinions on crooked knives? Not straight. So, what is your opinion on the mini? What is your opinion on the Crooked River? I love to hear it. And tune in next time as I talk about more of my knives. Thank you.